seems to be, at least it was repeated often enough, that Biden seeks stability and predictability in a relationship that had gotten dangerously unstable. And one fruit of the summit seems to be, and I'd like your sense of this, a series of working groups that are now going to begin looking at cybersecurity, whether we should have a joint list of critical infrastructure that's off limits, strategic stability with all the new weapons that the Russians and we are busy creating. I even thought I heard suggestion that there'll be working groups on regional issues like Syria. Did you have the same sense first? And second, is that kind of structure for this relationship a wise way to proceed, given all the volatility and just outright authoritarian
Yeah.
nastiness of our adversary?
Well, and this is kind of where I get the, if I was Alexei Navalny's chief of staff, I'd feel the same way. I mean, why are we in any way legitimizing this person who is literally at the center of a global effort to destroy democracy? I mean, that you have to keep that in the back of your head. At the same time, they have nuclear weapons. They have a role that they're playing in a place like Syria. They're obviously currently, in Ukraine, and so I think that having a set of working groups, so you at least have lines of communication, at a minimum, that helps avert worse outcomes. I mean, there was some risk, David, back in the Obama years of, you'll recall, like, deconflicting military operations in a place like Syria. You want to do that so that you don't have escalation. I think on these cyber issues, the Biden team, I think, would like to kind of drag Russia into some conversation about norms. What is the type of critical infrastructure that should be off limits to cyber attack? What are the responsibilities of states for ransomware criminal networks within their borders? I don't believe for a second that the Russians will be good faith partners on those issues, but I think the judgment is better to at least have this discussion with them, have channels through which we can raise concerns and see if we can mitigate things. This kind of happened on Ukraine too, where I was reminded, David, of one of President Obama's last in-person interactions with Putin, where they basically planted the seed that became the group of countries that negotiated the Minsk agreement, which didn't solve the issue in eastern Ukraine, but provided a mechanism to kind of reduce the violence and have at least the semblance of a political process. That was success in a way, and I'm not touting it. I'm just saying that sometimes what you're trying to do is set up processes that just prevent things from getting even worse and give you some pathway to climb back to a better status quo. And so I think it's worth them exploring that. I do think that the scale of Putin's aggressions makes it impossible for them to not be critical about things he's doing, like the detention of Alexei Navalny, in ways that will be provocative to Putin. And so it's kind of impossible to walk this line where you want it to be more stable and predictable, but the price of you kind of not addressing certain things Russia's doing gets uncomfortable pretty fast. So I think it's good to have structure around this relationship. At the minimum, it prevents worse things from happening. But the idea that you're going to get through 4 years without a series of probably pretty significant disagreements, that I don't think is likely to happen.